and live from the Scheinfeld Center Innovator Studio at Santa Barbara City College. It's the Enlightened Entrepreneur Podcast, where we inform and inspire Gen Z to become even more entrepreneurial and innovative in our global economy. I'm your host, Julie Sampson, Director of the Scheinfeld Center, and thank you for joining us here to make livelihoods that matter, be your own boss, and make the world an even better place. You know, there's a lot of things that can happen in just 1 minute. Okay, 250 babies are born around the world in 1 minute. 1.8 million likes are made on Facebook, and Americans eat 21,000 slices of pizza every minute. But another thing that can happen is that you can pitch your business idea in just 60 seconds. And entrepreneurs need to be able to do this over and over because there's so many ways that you can use this. So you might be entering a pitch competition where the 60-second pitch video is the submission requirement. Or you might need to pitch your idea to a potential investor or business partner, or you might even need to pitch portions of your pitch to your customers. Would you be prepared if you had to deliver a 60-second pitch in any of these circumstances? Well, this video will give you some elements to focus on so that you can nail your 60-second pitch. And to help us with this, we have two Santa Barbara City College students, Max and Camille. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. So why are these students with us? Well, they have submitted their 60-second video pitch to the Red Bull Basement Challenge. So the Red Bull Basement Challenge is a global pitch competition where students from around the world pitch ideas for how they can improve their campus life or their community with a solution that includes technology. And so what we're going to do today is go through 5 essential parts of your pitch. We're going to assume that you have identified a problem we're solving and that you have developed a high impact solution. Now, if you're not clear about that, you'll need to check 2 videos, the 2 prior videos in this series, and I'll link them below. And you can check those videos for how to do just that, where you can arrive with readiness to create your 60-second pitch video. And we'll show you how here. We're going to use the Red Bull pitch competition as an example. The very first element, the very first step that you need to take in developing your pitch video, know your purpose for pitching. So Max and Camille, for both of you, what was your purpose?
I guess I kind of saw it as a good opportunity into like a fast track way to understand business and pitching an idea.
I totally agree, and I think that it's a great opportunity for a start as an entrepreneur to just like have one of these things done. I think it's great for like just your basic knowledge, and I think it's something that's really helpful to have made, if you know what I mean.
Excellent, great, thanks. And so some of the basic things that you need to do is begin with the end in mind when you're developing your purpose for pitching. So who is your audience going to be? What is the purpose for your pitch? What are the requirements of the pitch? And what is the outcome or call to action that you're wanting to achieve with your pitch? And so I'm actually going to share my screen, and we'll look at Red Bull Basement as an example of this. So here we are at the Red Bull Basement website. You need to find out what are the parameters. So here on the Red Bull website, you could click on About, and it tells you how it all works, the timeline, what the different steps are. You want to become really intimately familiar with what the requirements are in this way. You can also go to the Q&A section and look at the important information that they have there. You know, what is the competition? Why is it here? What is the history? It's really important, for instance, to look at what kinds of ideas and projects can apply to the Red Bull basement. So we're using this competition as an example, but this applies to any competition you would enter. And you'll find, for instance, here that you can offer any type of idea, that's meeting a pressing unmet need that affects life on campus or a greater challenge in your community. And they give you some ideas of different categories of solutions that you might consider. So body and mind, career, clean water, climate action, education, empowerment, energy, smart cities. And what's great here too is that they give you some thought starters. So a section that you can go to see videos from past competitions, kind of get an idea of ideas that you might bring forth. Okay, you can look at things like who can apply for Red Bull basement to make sure that you meet the requirements in this way. So here we find you have to be 18 or older, and you have to be in one of the 44 participating countries in order to be eligible. And also it allows teams of 1 or 2 students to participate. All right, any field of study, and it's just, you need to be able to want to make a meaningful impact on your campus. Let's see, how will ideas be selected for the global final? Well, eligible uploaded ideas will be considered by a panel of local judges, and those judges will determine who goes to the global final. But the criteria that they're looking at are feasibility, impact, creativity, shout outs. These shout outs are basically like likes to your video. I'm going to stop my share here. Okay, so you begin with the end in mind. The next thing that you need is an opening. This is super important for just a 60-second video because you have to attract people's attention. And what is included in the beginning is something called a hook. So there's lots of different ways that you can create a hook. It can be a really amazing statistic that you state about how big the problem is. It could be a question that you ask your viewers or your audience. So you should have a hook, and then you should be able to state in one sentence, what is the problem? And in one sentence, what is the solution? So Camille and Max, in your video, what do you remember about what you included in your opening to make it work?
I know that the hook that we used in our video, it was a question, and we basically like asked the viewers or the people that we are trying to reach if they are having this problem, and to basically like get their interest right from the start.
I know I have. And housing helper says today. You're in the process of building an app which allows you to find better roommates.
Okay, so right there, it was a question. It said, what is the you explain the problem by your questions. Have you ever had roommates that are essentially problematic? And then immediately the solution is stated what it is, an app that helps you find roommates. Good example of how to create an opening. Okay, so the next element that you want to include is a demonstration. Okay, so you've oriented your audience to what they're going to be seeing and what they're going to be learning about. But then you need to show them what it is and how it works. So you need to describe who the solution is for, and how does it work step by step, and what are the features and benefits, right? So let's take a look at how Camille and Max happened to do this.
Step 1 is creating a profile and matching with compatible roommates. Couldn't be any easier.
Step 2 is filtering by all kinds of compatibilities so you never get stuck deadbeat deal breaker roommate.
We surveyed over 100 students and experts in the field and found that 78% were interested in an app that you can select compatible roommates.
Okay, so there we saw that you made your demonstration a simple two-step process. That was so brilliant, right? Because you could have gotten really technical with it, right? You could have gotten into like all of the nitty-gritty about how does each different function work, right? So how did you come down to just narrowing it down to two steps? How did you consider what to include in those steps?
Well, I think we just thought it would be best to make it simple, especially just for a 60-second video. And for us, it was kind of just setting it up like, okay, one is, seeing or filling out a little survey. Two is finding roommates that you like. Just keep it simple so it's fast, quick, and people understand.
Yeah, that's really great. Because one of the outcomes that you want with the video is that you want people to want to understand more, right? To continue the conversation with you. And so trying to explain too much at once can actually be overwhelming. So just like you did, making the steps as simple as possible was really brilliant. Now, the next thing that you need, the fourth thing, is to tell the audience what you've done with the idea so far. So we call this sharing what traction you have achieved. So some of the things that you would want to share are what market validation have you done? What have you done in terms of developing, if this is technology like an app, wireframes, which is just simple mocked up examples of what each screen, each touch point with your user would look like, and then also building community. So you mentioned, we saw in the video, we heard what you did to validate your concept, but can you tell us more about how you went about this? This was a thing about you surveyed students. Tell us how you did all of that.
So actually, we kind of did it a little old school. We set up a table in campus and had some candy and just kind of stopped people that were walking by and asked them if they could fill out the survey in exchange for some candy. And we found that was actually the best way that we could do it because people were kind of put on the spot and made to just be like, sure, I'll do that. And I think the rest we kind of just got together through people we know or just classmates, roommates, things like that.
Okay, great. Yeah. So this market validation is so important. So I talked about this in the first two videos, but here you have examples from students who actually implemented this and how they went out and got over 100 surveys from students. And this was not over the course of the semester. How quickly were you able to do this?
We had to do it within a week to get all of them, but I think, for setting up the whole table, we got 60 replies just that day.
Uh-huh. You two are here representing your team. You had other people helping you as well with that, right? So it was a collaborative effort. So you really utilized all of the resources that you had available.
Yeah, that's right. That the survey table that we did on campus was a really good start of it. And then just asking your friends and all of that is just a great way to finish it. And yeah, if you know what I mean.
And so kind of the outcome of that whole market validation survey of 100 students, I mean, that was the customer discovery portion of you developing your concept in your pitch. So in other words, you had a hypothesis that finding housing was challenging for students, right? Finding roommates, was challenging for students. And so a lot of your survey was to find out if that was true and how they currently go about it, and if they were happy with their solution, or if they would be, open to a better solution, right? And so what are some of the conclusions that you drew from that initial survey of 100 students?
Yeah, well, in our video, like as mentioned, it said that 70% of people that we interviewed all said that they would be interested in a new kind of updated way to find compatible roommates in housing, because just the way that they have to do it now with like Facebook groups or Craigslist, it's just not really up to date.
Yeah. Yeah, excellent. I love what your team did, because it's not that there aren't existing solutions out there that people are using, in order to address this problem, but it's about coming up with a new and more innovative way of doing that, right? So this is improving upon what's already out there. And I think that's so important, because sometimes I've experienced students come up with an idea and they're like, oh, somebody's already doing that. The thing is competition is a good thing. If there is competition, if there are companies who are creating solutions and there's solutions on the market, that means that there's a need for that type of thing, right? And then it just comes around to, okay, what can we do that serves our target market better? So your target market was, because of the competition, students here on campus, right? And so you just did a great job of focusing in more on the local need, where you can meet that need better than some other kind of solution that isn't designed exactly for the needs of students, and especially students on our campus. Yeah, really good stuff. All right, so then you want to end the video, with something that drives your audience to action, because remember, you had to have a purpose for creating this thing. So you have to ask yourself, what is the action that we want people to take as a result of this? What do we want to drive them to do? And then you simply ask them for that, to take that action. And so can you give us an example? Do you recall what you used for your video for a call to action?
I think that our call to action in the end of the video was that we told our names, said what we were trying to do, and then asked them to not join our sensation, but to join our and help our idea. And then in the end of the video, we had our logo again, and then we asked the people, if they watch our video and they like our idea, we encouraged them to give us a shout out, because shout outs are quite important for the Red Bull Basement Challenge to be able to move on. And if they like our idea, we would appreciate if they give us a shout out.
So with all of that, so those were the 5 things that we talked about. First of all, know your purpose for pitching. Second, create your opening. Third, do your demonstration. Fourth, share the traction that you have established. And then 5, give your call to action. So with all of that in mind, let's take a look at your video from start to finish so that everybody can see it all together.
I know I have. The housing helper saves today. You're in the process of building an app which allows you to find better roommates.
Step 1 is creating a profile and matching with compatible roommates. Couldn't be any easier.
Step 2 is filtering by all kinds of compatibilities, so you never get stuck deadbeat deal breaker roommate.
We surveyed over 100 students and experts in the field and found that 78% were interested in an app that you can select compatible roommates.
We are committed to Housing Helper and its ability to disrupt outdated, antiquated websites.
My name's Camille.
And I'm Davis, and we invite you to launch Housing Helper with us.
So good. Okay, excellent. So that's a really good example, everyone. We hope to our audience that this is helpful in showing you what parts of a 60-second pitch are really important and ways to put that together. But, that's kind of the content of the pitch. The other part is, well, wait a second. So you're creating a video around this whole thing. So there are some important components to build into your video so that it conveys your idea that you've been working so hard on really effectively, right? So in our class, what we did in order to kind of explore this was we actually went to the Red Bull website and we looked at some of the past videos, from the previous year, and just looked at them and talked about what seemed to work, what didn't work. Do you recall some of the things that you saw that really worked for a video?
I'd say that like good audio, clear, concise, like scripts, and I think editing is always nice, just like little clips here and there of things, so it's not so like, so you can focus more and it's not just like someone talking.
I think that like the things like Camille said is really great to have in a video, and without them, I don't think any video would be able to like meet the requirements, or like it wouldn't get you that interested. And I think that creativity is also a big factor in a video, since if a video is not creative at all, you're not going to be interested and you won't be like glad to watch the entire video. But if something is creative, then it gets you interested in a different way, and I don't know, it's just like more interesting to continuing watching the video.
Yeah, I so agree with that. Let's take some questions, okay? So one of the questions that we have is, this is a good one. So let's talk this through together. So we talked about those 5 parts of the video. The question is, how long should each part be? Let's talk about that first part. So the opening, where you have your hook, you're stating the problem, solution. What are your thoughts on about how long this should be?
I think that the opening should be like quite like quick and easy, because the opening you shouldn't have that much like information and stuff in the opening. It should just be like a start to get everybody interested and make everybody wanting to continue watching the video.
I would say for like after the opening, when we kind of went into like our statistics and then the steps, I think that should be slightly longer than the opening, just because you have to list like the information, the percentages, and then as well as like the steps of what you have to go through on the app.
If so, that demonstration part can be one of the most time-consuming parts. So if I had to put like seconds, just as kind of like a general rule of thumb, I would say maybe about 10 seconds for the opening, and maybe about 20 seconds for the demonstration. And then you need to talk about the traction in there too. So, maybe between, I think the traction and the demonstration, those are the parts that kind of create the body of the video. And then I think that close is kind of like the opening. It should be relatively short and sweet, right? Yeah, so about 10 seconds or so. So maybe a rule of thumb, it can be different for different concepts, but I would say probably 10 seconds for the opening, 10 seconds for the closing, and then that body, allocating the time for the other components, the demonstration and the traction for that. Yeah, that's great. Another question is, is there anything that you would change about your video now that you've completed it?
Yes, I think that what we would change is mostly the audio and the video quality. And but otherwise, I think that we had good content, but then I think that we probably could have learned it a bit more before we videotaped it to have it more memorized. But I mean, with the time frame, it's always hard to get everything as like perfect, but I think we did as good as we could.
Okay, great. Yeah, go ahead.
That it would be if we filmed it maybe inside instead of
outside. I think Camille froze a little bit there, but she was saying working inside instead of outside, because you actually had, there was that jazz in the background, and that actually wasn't piped in. It was actually the result of being outside, and the band at SPCC was practicing out there. Camille, you're back. You froze a little bit there, but we got your concept. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that band, like the band music, we could, like, we had two different recordings, one without and one with the band, but we choose the one with the band because just to create like the campus, like, not experience, but just a campus vibe.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Okay, well, if you can believe it, that is our time. Max and Camille, I'd like to thank you so much for taking some time to share your experience with nailing your 60-second video. And to our audience, we hope that this helped you on your entrepreneurial journey and the creation of your 60-second video. So I just encourage you so much. This is a fantastic exercise. You heard from Camille and Max about their experience. You know, this is a totally low risk way to really work hands-on your entrepreneurial skills. You know, how do you come up with an idea? How do you formulate your solution? You know, how do you convey that idea effectively? And how do you do that quickly, right? So these are all really great skills to learn. And there are a lot of different competitions out there. The Red Bull Challenge is one, but there are others as well. And so once you've done this once, you know, you can do it again and just improve over time. Let us know how you're going to use your 60-second pitch video in the comments below. And please join our community. You can like, share, subscribe. We'd love to have you join us. And in the meantime, thanks so much for being with us here today. And we look forward to connecting with you next week. Thanks, everybody. Thanks again, Max and Camille.